Matt Rosendale and Minnesota Congressman Jim Hagedorn. Congressman Rosendale, I'll start with you. Your constituents just lost thousands of jobs. Meanwhile, we have to watch in horror as President Biden effectively green lights a pipeline from Russia to Germany. What say you about the impact it will have on your constituents, and also the reality that even an administration that says they're doing this in the name of the environment doesn't seem to recognize that what happens in Russia also impacts the environment as well?
It does, and it seems like they're undermining the energy sector here in the United States and promoting it overseas. It's really sad. We lost somewhere between $60 and $80 million a year in tax revenue when President Biden rescinded the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. I saw a $500 million pumping facility that is being mothballed now, Joe. I mean, this is tragic, and we're seeing the cascading effect of that. Energy prices are escalating, and what that's going to do is hurt those who can afford it least. It's going to hurt them the most, not to mention all the thousands of union jobs across this nation that are being lost, whether you're talking about welders or earth-moving contractors across the nation that were dependent upon these jobs in the small communities. But we lost somewhere between $60 and $80 million of tax revenue immediately that was going to be going to some of the poorest counties located within Montana, because that pipeline was scheduled to come straight through.
Now, Congressman Hagedorn, I'll come to you. President Biden effectively made this priority number one. First day of business, he wanted to kill it off dead. Talk to us about the impact this is having on your constituents, and also why this type of strategy, the printing of money, while actually killing industry simultaneously, leads to a future of unfunded mandates that no one can actually afford.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, right out of the box, President Biden showed that he was going to put America last. And this, in many ways, empowered countries like Russia. And their program, their Green New Deal program, this was the first element of it right out of the box, is going to make the United States more dependent on countries like China, because they're trying to convert us from fossil fuels to, for instance, electric vehicles, where we would have to rely on China for some of those rare earth and other materials. But I got to tell you, the American people are seeing through it real quick. They realize this isn't good for our country. It's not good for consumers. It's going to make things less safe. As you said, when you take oil and don't put it through a pipeline, guess where it goes? On railroad cars and trucks. That's less safe. That's more expensive. It doesn't make any sense. And these Green New Deal policies of the Democrat Party, the only climate they're going to cool is the American jobs and business climate, and that's very tragic.
Now, Congressman Hagedorn, I want to stick with you because I want to pivot a little bit. We have the latest issue here with Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of the Squad. She was recently chastised by Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi for basically a tweet insinuating that U.S. and Israel can be conflated with Hamas and the Taliban. Talk to us about why this is so dangerous, but also, from my perspective, and I think the perspective of many people, it appears as if Speaker Pelosi might be using her as a proverbial whipping boy to get around the fact that the Democratic Party in many ways has become a haven for dangerous anti-Semitic ideas.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, let's be honest about it. People like Omar and the Democrat Party have been blaming America first and trashing allies like Israel for 50 years. This is just the latest example of that. The fact that the Democrats want to make shoot up some flares and say, look at us, we're going to push back a little bit, I think is trying to get people off track. The Democrat Party, for the most intents and purposes, support the policies of Omar and vice versa. I mean, think about it, from whether it's Green New Deal or it's amnesty and open borders, gun control, socialized medicine. The policies of Congresswoman Omar and her votes are exactly the same as Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in the House. They're so extreme, as Ronald Reagan used to say, so far left, they've left America.
Well, Congressman Rosendale, I'll ask you the same question, because when you look at this paradigm here with the rise of BDS, we've seen anti-Israel protests here in New York City. If you didn't know any better, it would look like a scene straight out of Gaza. Jewish people being assaulted, Israeli flags being burned. At some point, when are the people that say that love has to conquer all, when are the people who says that we have to have justice and equality for all going to recognize that they themselves are fostering an environment of hatred right here in these United States of America?
Joe, I don't know that they ever will. As you say, we see these things taking place time and time again. And what I really am beginning to believe is that the likes of Rep. Omar are making these outrageous and dangerous statements just basically to keep us distracted from the real issues and the real threats that we're facing here as a nation. We've got 200,000 illegal immigrants entering our country every month right now. That is having a huge impact on whether the states that they're going to be located in or the communities that are going to have to pay for the education, for the housing, for the medical needs of these people. We've got a president who has shut down the leasing for energy purposes on federal lands for the last 2 quarters, and we're seeing the direct impacts of that. We're seeing the dangerous rise of China and Russia that they are completely ignoring any kind of conversations with the global community about the very aggressive tactics that they are taking, and all the while those things are all taking place. And where is everyone looking? About some comments that Omar, very dangerous, very outrageous remarks that she made, but still we have these other things that are taking place right now that are undermining our very republic.
All right, Congressman Haggard.